I bet you kids would like some of these new Butterfinger ice cream nuggets.
They sure would have.
Would have. No!
Crispity crunchity outside, creamy ice cream inside.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
One thing I'm a big fan of, and I'm honestly proud to admit it, is I'm a huge Simpsons buff fan. And the one thing I do remember from my childhood with The Simpsons is the Butterfinger commercials. So, what I'm going to do in this video is a little different. It's a commercial retrospective of The Simpsons with the Butterfingers. So let's check this out. Let's see what we could do with the Simpsons Butterfingers. It's a little history lesson, retrospective of a great company and a great cartoon series with blah blah blah. So we're going to go into a little history about the Simpsons Butterfingers, how it started, how it ended, and where it abruptly ended up. So here we go. This is going to be really fun. I've never done a full-fledged commercial retrospective before, except for like DBZ and stuff like that, way back when. So let's get things started and let's start talking about Simpsons and Butterfingers. Yummy, yum, yum. Well, The Simpsons originally started in 1987 on the Tracy Ullman Show. Before they were even a concept or a full-fledged, fleshed-out characters, the very first commercial appeared in 1988, a year right after they were formed on the Tracy Ullman Show, showing the Simpsons' staying power pretty much. And what we got was this commercial was our first introduction to the Simpsons and Butterfingers.
Oh, the last Butterfinger in the whole house, and I have it. Dad says no teasing. Na 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 na. Whoa! Check out the smooth, chocolatey outside, the crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery inside. Dad says if you make a scream, you're dead meat. You wouldn't scream.
Dad! Now what?
Never mind. Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
Yep, behold our very first Butterfinger with the Simpsons before we even knew what they were the entire time. Yeah, that commercial came out in 1988, a year before the Simpsons season show, but a year after they were on the Tracy Ullman Show, which is pretty damn cool in my book. I've got to say, I was pretty impressed to actually find that out, because before researching this whole situation and researching the entire project here, I always assumed that the Simpsons were put out on TV first as the family before the Tracy Ullman thing happened, and then Butterfinger asked them to come in because of Bartmania. But nope, that was not the case here. But now, that does kind of bring up some more interesting trivia about this. That means The Simpsons had way more staying power than Tracy Ullman itself did, and people were already interested in Matt Groening's special ability of drawing these crude-looking cartoon characters. In fact, the animation was actually done with the first commercial by Klasky Csupo, as you guys may know that have done this series. However, The Simpsons became with a different studio, and the Butterfinger commercials began to form more and more. And that started to bring out more power for The Simpsons. In fact, the funny thing is, they didn't just stop at Butterfinger bars. There was Butterfinger ice cream, there was Butterfinger BBs, which, in my opinion, taste better than the actual Butterfinger bars. And I really freaking wish they'd bring those back because they were really delicious. And yeah, that's pretty much how it went. For a while, The Simpsons had a really big, powerful hold on mascot media for Butterfinger. And that wasn't the only thing that they did. They did commercials for other food advertisements, like Burger King and stuff. But Butterfinger was their most known provider here. And yeah, let's just say a lot of us younger kids who weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons were probably most likely introduced to The Simpsons throughout the 90s because of these commercials. In fact, it was my introduction to The Simpsons was one of the Butterfinger commercials, and I can remember which one in particular. It was actually this commercial right here that introduced me to The Simpsons.
Police! I've been robbed.
You say it was crispity, crunchity, and peanut buttery? Oh, yum.
Who laid a finger on Bart's Butterfinger? There are 6 suspects, but only 5 alibis.
What's an alibi?
No!
Find out who doesn't have an alibi, and you could win $50,000. See these wrappers for details.
Name?
Homer Simpson. I mean Homer.
Leading me into the next part of the video, the lasting power that the series actually had through Butterfinger. Now, I'm going to go into detail about the Who Stole Bart's Butterfinger game very, very soon. So, get ready, everyone. Now, how much lasting power did the Butterfinger commercials have? Well, pretty much going from 1988 to airing, at least in my town, until about 2001 or 2. In fact, I've even heard that there are some missing commercials that were made in 2007 and 2009, and even some commercials were reanimated with newer footage, which I haven't really seen them. I've only heard this. But going for nearly a 9 or 10 year legacy is a really long freaking time to air commercials. And for the longest time, Bart was one of the biggest mascots for Butterfinger. Nestle was using him everywhere. And that inspired other companies like, say, Burger King or Church's Chicken, or even, hell, Domino's even, to use the Simpsons for their mascot. They were using them all over. This was a very big lasting power of Bart mania. And the entire Simpsons mania was just everywhere in the 90s. I remember in 1998, I was driving to Memphis. Well, I was with my parents. They were driving through Memphis, and there was a billboard sign up in Memphis that said, "Stay tuned for more Simpsons." I mean, everything, they were just everywhere. The internet wasn't even invented around this time. I mean, it was, but it wasn't as huge as it is now. And it just showed how much power that The Simpsons really did have with advertisement. And I think it was a pretty brilliant move. Kids who couldn't watch The Simpsons on TV got to watch these Butterfinger commercials. Now, that does lead me into detail about Who Stole Bart's Butterfinger. This was a big deal. In fact, a couple years later, after this one, maybe a year later, they aired the America's Most Wanted Who Shot Mr. Burns, which was actually kind of cool. That they actually got John Walsh to investigate who shot Mr. Burns. That is amazing. But I'm getting off track here, and I'm getting off the whole Butterfinger thing too. Anyway, the Who Stole Bart's Butterfinger thing was pretty epic. I remember it really well, and I wanted to play it, and I actually guessed it was Homer because throughout most of the commercials, it was Homer trying to steal Bart's Butterfinger. In fact, they even troll us when it does happen with this scene right here.
Homer? Rusty!
Yeah, they actually threw us for a freaking loop here. And I did guess. My brother even guessed it was Homer, but surprisingly, it was Krusty the Clown, who was Bart's hero. Kind of weird how that works out. And I do find it kind of ironic that Maggie was the one who unmasked Homer, and it was Krusty underneath the mask, when Maggie would be used in the Who Shot Mr. Burns episodes way later on. I don't know if that was planned or if it just happens to be a giant coincidence, but it's pretty cool in my book right there. And these commercials just stuck around nearly until, I think the last one that I seen was in 2002, and I believe it was this Butterfinger commercial. This was the last one I had seen anyway on TV.
Apu, where are the Butterfingers?
Sold out, but try my other 350 candy varieties.
I need a crispy, crunchy, peanut buttery Butterfinger.
I'll give you 4 fingers.
Nothing like a Butterfinger.
From Nestle.
Of course, the Simpsons mania didn't just end with Butterfinger commercials only. They started getting more and more commercial product placement as they went on. One of the most known ones was, well, Church's Chicken, which they had done a couple of commercials for, off and on. I know of only 2 that exist. That's because they're on the DVD thing. Then they did KFC commercials, which, in my opinion, was awesome. But, however, the KFC commercials only aired in Canada. Funnily enough, I remember these commercials airing, and I live in Arkansas. I live in a part of Arkansas that is more... They air really out-of-country stuff. And this was no exception. In fact, the KFC one, I remember the one where you get a free 2-liter thing, we thought was a real deal. My parents are deal chasers, and they went to KFC arguing with the manager about getting a free 2-liter drink until the manager actually had to point out that it was in Canada only, and our state sucks. But after that, well, came the Burger King ads, which was great. And finally, there was CC's Chips, which was, well, in Australia. So that just showed there was a big country deal going on all across the nation. Not just the country, but all over the world. Simpsons mania was everywhere. And how were they doing with Butterfinger? Well, I must say, what goes up must come down. Said, The Simpsons had a very huge staying power. They still have a very good staying power. They're on season, 32 now? Holy shit, 32. Anyway, their other advertisements were running really well, doing stuff like, Burger King and etc. Then they were going into TGI Fridays, Ramada Inn, all sorts of good stuff. Hell, even 1-800-COLLECT-CALLS got to jump into this. So, The Simpsons were everywhere. But after 2001, the last commercial that I showed you, I was seeing a lot less and less of Butterfinger ads. In fact, that was the very last Butterfinger commercial that I had seen. We hadn't aired one in a while, unless it was just a rerun from a couple years ago or whatever. And, well, something happened with the Butterfinger company, and we aren't told what. Some kind of deal fell through or something, or some kind of contract. It's never really explained. I have tried researching the situation and researching everything up over and over. In fact, The Simpsons even make a bunch of mean-spirited jokes at Butterfinger's expense, like this scene.
It's not even singed.
Even the fire doesn't want them.
Or this scene.
It's ad. Wait, I was in a commercial? I don't remember this at all.
Unfortunately, we may never know what happened, because that was probably the last time we've actually ever seen the Butterfinger ads. I guess Butterfinger and The Simpsons just ended really abruptly. Well, I guess that's about it.
Oh no, I ain't not finished yet.
No, I'm not finished quite yet, because there is one more thing. Butterfinger was not done with The Simpsons, and Simpsons was not done with Butterfinger just yet. 2001 or 2 may have been the last commercials that America or anyone else has seen. But then, April of 2013 came out, and do you know what that was? That was when this tweet was released. Yes, it was announced on Twitter by Simpsons on Twitter and Butterfinger itself that they were back. And from July of 2013 all the way until November of 2013, The Simpsons and Butterfinger have joined forces one more time to search for Bart's Butterfinger. Actually, 20 years later, after the Looking for Bart's Butterfinger search from 1993 happened. This was a big moment in Simpson history, and it was rather big. It was huge. So many people were back into it, and yes, Milhouse was the culprit this time. This time, I couldn't even guess it. I assumed Sideshow Bob because, well, he's my favorite character, and I wanted him to be in the mix of characters, but however, that wasn't the case. But the search for who stole Bart's Butterfinger was back on 20 years later, and it was just a really cool revival to see this again. However, now after this was the ending to Bart's and the Butterfinger's journey, or is it? Maybe they'll wait another few more years. Maybe in 2023, we'll see something from the Butterfinger and the Simpsons once more. However, this was pretty cool, it was pretty huge, and it was nice to see that The Simpsons and Butterfinger gave us this little bit of nostalgia once more again. And it did coincide with the 20 years ago Who Swiped Bart's Butterfinger story that happened. The Simpsons have done a lot of commercials. I've only touched upon the Butterfingers. I haven't actually really shown you all. There are at least hundreds, and that's not the only ones that they've done. They have done, like I've showed you in the videos, several others. There's more KFC, there's Burger King, there is just countless Simpson commercials and products. They don't just wager all over the country, they wager all over the world. Hell, Japan even, Canada, Australia, they are everywhere. Simpsons was and still is a pretty huge theme in the world. And I'm kind of happy that I did get to talk about some of these commercials, especially the Butterfinger ones that we were introduced to. Honestly, if there's any more big commercial retrospectives you guys want me to touch upon, let me know in the comments. I do have an idea for my next commercial retrospective character. Although, it has given me a craving for pizza, that's all I'm gonna say.
See you next time.